Hey there guys, gals, and non-binary pals, GM Potter here, and today we will be going over Well Played by Jen DeLuca. So this one came out in 2020, and it has a 3.53 on Goodreads. I'd give it a solid 4 stars. It's good, it's not great. Good beach read, good just mental chewing gum. It's not as strong as the first one, or quite as strong as the third one, which I'll be doing later this week. It has kind of a big cast of characters, of main characters who you have to keep straight in your head. You have Stacy, who's our main character. She's a Renaissance fair wench. We have Daniel, who's the love interest and manages a band. We have his cousin Dex, who is Stacy's old flame and leader of the band. We have Simon, who's the fair organizer, Emily, who's a fellow wench and Simon's new wife, and April, who is Emily's sister. And it's important to keep all of these characters straight. It just feels like a large cast compared to the first one, where there are more secondary characters. It's loosely based on Cyrano, kind of the truth about cats and dogs, but gender swapped, and from the point of view of the one that's getting catfished, if you will. So it's a cute story, if you can buy into the premise. I didn't have a hard time buying into the premise, but I do understand people who did. If you read the less positive reviews on Goodreads, there's a lot of them that say things like, "Oh, it's good, but I wouldn't say that it's the best. I wouldn't say." There's a lot of negative to do with the storytelling arc. So I hate to say this because I loved the first one and I absolutely adored the third one. It's fine. It's fine. Like, maybe I should give it 3 stars, but that feels... I don't want to give it 3 stars because the ending actually had me gripped with the will they won't they at the very end. But it was a little bit on the nose and a little bit... It's catfishing, and that's kind of morally reprehensible, I think. So there's all that. It was a good follow-up, and I found myself rooting for the pair despite everything. I did relate to the main character of Stacy, in that she's looking for something to change. She's looking for that next big thing in her life. I definitely related to that. I feel like that's something that everyone can relate to. She did spend a lot of time complaining, which a lot of people had problems with, but she's complaining because she's looking for that next big thing in her life, so it's kind of understandable. Additionally, I don't know if I would say that... I don't know that I would necessarily read this one again. It might not go on the bookcase. It might get resold. I haven't decided yet if this one exactly repays rereading. Because while I enjoyed her character and I related quite a bit to her character, I didn't to his. And I just felt like his character didn't stand up and be heard enough. And for the male protagonist, for the love interest, I feel like that's something that's important, especially in a romance book, that the whole thing is stand up and be counted. And yes, he has a little bit of a complex when it comes to his cousins, because they're the hot ones and he's the more math and business minded one. But at the same time, it almost felt like he'd given up before he'd even considered that he could win this. And it's like, really, dude? Really, bro? I don't know. I found myself rooting for the two of them. I did not really enjoy his character. Unfortunately, with this one, there's not a lot to say. The book goes over their emails and their texts, and it's mostly a long distance courtship and through the letters, which is, a la Cyrano. But it just left me kind of empty. Like, until the very end, when we got to the will they won't they, at the very, very end, and it's like, she's got to make her big decision, and he didn't really fight for her. He's like, well, these are your options, take it or leave it. And she's like, okay. And she decides to make the jump. But I feel like he didn't do any jumping. He just kind of was there. A lot of the negative reviews that I read, and I hate to reference them, but I think they had a point, were talking about how they didn't like her, but I think they let him off a little too easy because he knowingly catfished her, and then he didn't fight for her or stand up for her or anything. He just kind of let it happen, and it was like, oh, okay. Definitely not one of my favorites. Like I said, I'm probably not going to read it again. I don't think this one would necessarily repay rereading. Um, I've already read the third one. If I hadn't already purchased the third one when I started reading the second one, I might not have read the third one, to be honest. Because this one wasn't... It wasn't good. The first one was charming, and it was enjoyable, and it was a fun romp through the woods in the Renaissance Fair, and this one just kind of... eh. It was just kind of eh. So, have you read Well Played? Did you like it? Did you not like it? I'd love to hear what you thought of it down in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.